Hello everyone, this is the Fanciest Bard, coming at you with a redone Let's Play of one of my favorite games, Virtual Hydlide. Ah yes, the Sega Saturn classic. Except it's not really a classic to most people. In fact, this game is widely panned as being fairly terrible. But it holds a little special place in my heart. I actually found it when I was just a kid, playing it at my uncle's house. But then the memories of it were lost to time. I managed to find it with only the phrase, "I'm looking for a game where a guy runs around a field with a dagger and stabs a blob." I don't know how I found this game, but as you will see in a moment, we are certainly a guy in a field with a dagger stabbing a blob. So without further ado, let's get into the game. So, if you are not familiar with Virtual Hydlide, this game produces a completely randomized map. It's not entirely RNG based, it's actually each map and each overworld has 20 different hand-done variations. And there are over 25 billion possible game worlds, which is a fairly remarkable feat for a game that is around this age, since the game came out in 1995. Anyway, so this is our guy, this is our field, and this is our dagger. Wah. Yeah. Alright. So. Here is our map. I have not seen it before. And that little X is where we need to go. Thankfully we spawned right next to it. So without further ado, let's go on. Aha! The fabled blob. Let's stab it for old time's sake. Hiya! Alright. And now to the actual adventure. So, a little bit of trivia on why this game was reviewed so poorly is supposedly it had a very subpar graphic system that sometimes went below 5 frames per second. As you can see right there, there is certainly some significant slowdown in certain areas of the game, especially ones with lots of sprites. But besides that, I feel the game as a whole is actually fairly enjoyable if you look past some of the flaws. And here we have arrived at the first point in our adventure, if the tree will get out of the way, which is the cemetery. We have 2 objectives in the cemetery. 3 if you count not dying as one. I believe this is possibly the only one that is not actually random generated in the sense that the layout changes. The only thing that really changes is the placement of the large tombstones, in which you are. Wow, this thing actually swings pretty fast. Anyway, the placement of the large tombstones, which you can inspect. Now that one over there has the thing we need, but there is another item that we need in here. And I'm actually just going to skip these because, strangely enough, this game does have leveling, but you do not level up by killing monsters, you level up by doing objectives. So ultimately, combat in this game is fairly useless. You only really need to kill about 3 or 4 things in the game, and those are bosses. But, so anyway, the objective of the game, as you saw in the opening cutscene, is that a mystical princess, I'm not sure if she's actually mystical, but we're going to call her the mystical princess. She was split into 3 fairies by a demon thing, and we have to get 3 fairies and 3 gems. It does not actually tell you this, but They are actually fairly easy to find, so most people generally do find them on their first playthrough if they're not just rushing through the game. So in here, we will find the crucifix. I'm fairly certain. Yes. And as you can see, I have leveled up. I now have 300 HP. The only downside is that usually the cemetery has a fair amount of items, typically swords or armor, or other sorts of weaponry, but due to the random generated nature of the game, we did not find any. So we are going to what I would consider the first real dungeon of the game, which will be the Vampire's Mansion. So now we must go all the way over there. Thankfully though, if one was to travel down, it would eventually go up. So if we go down and to the left, we will make it to the top right part of the world. Oh, hiccups. And, oh, that reminds me, we actually found a potion. Oh, and a ring. Oh, that was what we had in the fairy crest. Evidence of courageous fairy warriors. And tranquilizer and an amethyst. And I think this... one of the 3 treasures, yes. So it does tell you that there are 3 of them, but you have to find the first one. I don't actually believe you can beat the game without them. I might be wrong in that. But I actually have not completed this game, so hopefully we can get through it. We run through the forest. Low frame rate. Oh. Whoa. Ah. I don't even want to try to fight that thing. And we have arrived at the Vampire's Mansion. The first real dungeon, I would consider, of Virtual Hydlide. I guess you could consider the cemetery one, but I believe this more constitutes one. But we will save that for next time. So, without further ado, this is the Fanciest Bard, signing out.